All right, I think we're live. Everybody hear me? Kevin, you hear me? Yep. Hold on a sec. We got you muted here. Let me turn you up. All right, we're good. All right.
I got you.
Yeah, you sound great, man. You look good, too. All right, everybody. This is Mike, obviously Mike's favorite page. We got the Director, Florida Division Emergency Management with us, Kevin Guthrie. We've been through a lot of storms together, and it looks like Florida's got a sneaky one, right? A lot of people caught off guard a little bit with this one as it's heading up towards the Panhandle. So, I guess first and foremost, thank you for asking me. As always, I really appreciate the state's support. It means so much. But where's the state at right now? Like, what do you feel? What is your gut? What do you think that we need to tell the Floridians the most right now?
I think it's exactly what you said, Mike, and that's this is going to be sneaky. Don't go to sleep on it because it's got the potential to put about 12 to 15 inches of rain on top of us. And then if this thing does do what it's projected to do right now, which is do this big bend right over the South Georgia, the headwaters for the area just north of I-75 and I-10 at the state line, where Hamilton County is. People probably don't know much about Hamilton County, but it's the only county in the state of Florida that is not geographically by land connected to the rest of the state of Florida. It's got three rivers around it. It's the Alapaha, the Suwannee, and the Withlacoochee. They're actually connected to Georgia, but the headwaters for that area, all three of those rivers are in South Georgia. So that's very, very important for people to know. So again, if you live in that area, watching that rainfall amount that's just north of the state line, all of that's going to come down and flow all the way down to the Santa Fe and the Suwannee and out to the Gulf of Mexico. So things that we need to be watching, not just for the next 2 or 3 days, but probably the next week or so. Same thing, similar things can happen up on the Savannah and the Little Savannah River up in Northeast Florida, just west of Jacksonville, Baker County, Nassau County, Nassau River, obviously. So there's a lot of rainfall that's going to be associated with this. But now we also have the wind that we got to start taking into consideration. You and I were talking offline that this may actually become a medium to strong Cat 1 because it could rapidly intensify in the Gulf.
Right. So, how ironic and unfortunate this is heading towards the same areas that Idalia had just last year. And some of these model trends to me, and I don't know what your meteorologists are seeing, but it seems like we still have this chance of a little bit west, closer to more population, Tallahassee. I mean, is this anything you guys are kind of seeing or worried about, or this slowdown? Now they're saying Monday afternoon landfall. That gives it even more time to develop.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All of those things are exactly what we're worried about. I think with every 3 hour, even the mid intervals, they continue to kick a little bit further west. I think, and our meteorologists here, we got 4 of them on staff. They really think that this is going to be probably right dead on Tallahassee, Franklin, Wakulla County. And then coming pretty much right over the top of Tallahassee. And then again, we're looking at, since it's clicking further west, about 25 miles, it seems like with each passing advisory, that, we could be looking again at a strong Cat 1 hurricane. And again, there's nothing in its way.
Right.
When we say nothing in its way, there is no wind shear. There is nothing there that would prevent it from coming together very quickly. And we've seen what storms can do in the Gulf of Mexico. Hurricane Michael went from a tropical storm to a Category 5 hurricane in about 36 hours. Mm-hmm. So not saying it's going to become a Category 5, but there is nothing that would prevent it from rapidly intensifying.
Yeah, that's scary because, so how do you balance, hype, and the other side is not enough hype. You don't want to say that, but you want to say that we have to be prepared. And I just got back from Beryl in Texas, and I got ridiculed for saying it was one of the strongest hurricanes I've been in. It was a strengthening hurricane at landfall, and that to me felt a whole lot different than a weakening hurricane at landfall. And they had a lot of damage, a lot of surge, a lot of RVs on their side. 50 RVs I counted on their side. And that really blew me away, no pun intended, because I have an RV, and I'm like, holy cow, that might have been me staying there thinking, oh, it's only a Cat 1. But I agree. Living in Florida, the Gulf of Mexico, I'm watching this like a hawk. And so all right, for a response, so I had a question that I've always had is, when you guys enter a state of emergency a few days ago, what does that really mean? Everybody's phones goes off, they get a little panicky. What exactly does that mean when you guys issue those for all these counties?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and I don't think the average citizen and resident of Florida knows what that means. So what it means is gives the governor what's referred to as executive power. So our budget is set by the legislature, but it gives the governor the ability to spend money. It gives counties the ability to spend money. Instead of going through a very bureaucratic process for procurements and things of that nature, it allows us to spend money and enter into contracts and enter into purchase orders much more quickly. It also allows us to then bring in people that are not typically day-to-day full-time state employees. The best example of that is the Florida National Guard. Florida National Guard is usually 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year. They come and do training. They do things to respond to disasters in the state of Florida. Well, this now allows us to bring them on into full-time duty status and pay them for the work that they are doing as if they were a state employee. So it allows us to mobilize resources from all over the state, to include the Florida National Guard, the Florida State Guard, extra troopers, extra Fish and Wildlife Commission. It allows us to enter into contracts, like for our fuel contract. Most of that fuel, when the port closes, and Tampa Bay's port is probably going to close tonight to seaside traffic, it allows us to start bringing in fuel from Louisiana, which is our next closest port, and get that fuel started heading into the state so that we don't have nearly the fuel problems. So all of those things, it's really operationally, tactically, how we do the work. That's what that state of emergency allows us to do. And it goes for the 67 counties as well. When a local county commission does a local declaration of emergency, it again allows them to do purchasing and financing quicker. They don't have to do the typical 30-day procurement process, because obviously in 30 days this is going to be over. So we need to be able to do things much faster.
That's awesome, because I even wonder. So another question we got, we got about 10 minutes here, but residents, fans of mine, I guess the one thing that they always ask is where do they go? Where do they get the local information from, the county information, evacuations? I mean, where do you suggest somebody watching right now that might be panicking a little bit? Where do they go? Like,
I would say two locations. Number one, and I know people just get tired of the 24/7 news cycle, but who is your local trusted meteorologist? And that's, number one, that's the person you want to go to, and, your trusted local meteorologist. In Jacksonville, where my dad's from, and Polly's watching this too. She's from St. Augustine. It's Mike Burrish in Jacksonville. They trust Mike Burrish. Who is that person at the local level that gives them that information? The second one is they need to know their emergency management page website. That is where they want to go. So again, if you live in Leon County, where we are, we want to go to Leon County Emergency Management website. We want to go to Duval County Emergency Management website for my dad. So it's those individuals that we want to do. That's where they're going to get that information from.
Right. Okay. That's very good information. And I guess the last thing for me is, they're predicting a huge season this year, and we've already seen these long track storms, and I worry about hurricane hangover. I talk about it. I'm at that point. How do we, keep Floridians on their toes? I've been saying don't be stubborn. I've seen surge now. I was the Debby downer. Never thought we'd be talking about a Debby, but I was the one that said, evacuation. Seeing this stuff on the ground for me now, I've turned into that person. You need to evacuate. But the tone that I get from so many people is, man, I've been there, done that. I've lived here my whole life. I ain't doing it. And it's like, if it doesn't happen, then the next storm that comes, they're not going to do it. And I'm so worried about Floridians, because these storms are powerful. And
we talk about make smart decisions all the time. I hate to talk about this, but this is a reality of it. Over 100 people died in Hurricane Ian because they didn't heed warnings to evacuate. You don't want to be one of those 100. We do that conversely to Hurricane Idalia. We didn't lose one life because people, and I think it was because of Hurricane Ian being so bad the year before that they said, you know what, I'm not going to risk it. And again, at the end of the day, it's not worth the risk. If somebody, and I tell this story all the time, many of your viewers know that I came through Jacksonville, and I went to Flagler County, I went to Pasco County. I was a local emergency management guy. The one decision that your local emergency management individual goes over more in their head than any other thing that they do is the evacuation. They do not want to put people in harm's way. They do not want to have them evacuate. They would rather them stay in place. So that is a very long, mulled over decision. But if the county EM director is asking you to evacuate, there is a reason they're asking you to do it. They have worked over it. They've looked at all the analytics, and that's the best decision that they're making for their community. So trust them like you would your sheriff, trust them like you would your fire chief, because when they make that decision, they really, really put a lot of time and effort into it.
Yeah, that's great advice, man. Well, this is a sneaky one. Like you said, I don't have a meteorology because I can't even say it right. I don't have the background, but I have the gut feeling. And like you said, no shear, warm water, everything on this storm just has that look. So it's going to be interesting to watch. So
absolutely,
big day. But hey, thank you so much, Kevin, for coming on. We're going to become good friends, and I'll be heading up your way to do a little storm chasing. So
sounds good.
We'll catch up. Thank you.
Be careful out there, and we'll see you soon.
All right, buddy.
All right.
All right. Well, there you go. How about that, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. How did that go? So it's so important to have the state. We're kind of partners now. Not partners, but we're friends. And we feed off each other a lot. So hopefully some good information for you, and just to know our state, Florida, has your back. They're very proactive. They do things way ahead of time. That state of emergency is kind of what I thought, but it was great hearing that. I didn't really know the reason everybody's phones goes off and they think Cat 5 is coming, but there's a more deeper reason why they have the state of emergency. So they're ready. I've seen people putting pictures online of linemen lined up right now. Just convoys of linemen ready to come in. So there's a lot of prep that goes into these things. But anyway, that was this video. It was short and sweet with the state. So thank you again to Florida Division of Emergency Management, Mr. Kevin Guthrie. We'll be live tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern for a regular, we call it the Dirty 30 now because it's straight 30 minutes of what's going on. I'm looking at satellite now, and it's unbelievable watching this thing try to come together. It's already named. It wasn't supposed to be named this early, and I share the same thoughts that Kevin does, and this might be a little more sneaky than some expect. So stay tuned here to Mike's weather page. I'm going to do some posting now, but we'll be live at 8 o'clock on all the same channels, 8 p.m. Eastern. All right? We'll see you.